Since 1994, there has been great conflicts over whether or not the use of growth hormones should be permitted. The Monsanto Corporation is currently the only company who distributes and encourages the use of growth hormones in animals that are used for human consumption. They distribute the growth hormone called recombinant bovine growth hormone, or RBGH for short. And in the drug world, it goes by the name of Posilac. Our topic today is that the use of growth hormones in livestock should be banned. Our supporting topics are that growth hormones negatively affect humans, growth hormones negatively affect cattle, and the lost revenue, and that revenue is lost because of the use of RBGH. For the first point, that growth hormones negatively affect humans, there are many factors. Humans are affected by RBGH in a number of ways, ranging from cancer risks to antibiotic resistance. As Rick North of Physicians for Social Responsibility says, there is no doubt whatsoever that RBGH use increases disease in cows, which in turn leads to more use of antibiotics. The more they are used in agriculture, the less effective they are against humans. Of course, the large numbers of antibiotics used in cows affects the cows directly. It affects humans indirectly because we are ingesting these antibiotics, and ingesting any drug in large quantities in turn makes it less effective. As Laura Sire says in her article, Protecting Milk from Monsanto, there's the cancer risk. Studies have shown that RBGH increases levels of another hormone in milk called IGF-1. IGF-1 is produced naturally by both cows and humans, but elevated levels of IGF-1 in humans are associated with breast, prostate, and colon cancer. The IGF-1 factor is a big issue that many people don't know about in this day and age. Another factor in the use of RBGH is the amount of hormones that people are ingesting, especially pregnant women and little children. The Cancer Prevention Coalition warns parents that even small amounts of animal products contain enough hormonal residues to harm children, saying, no dietary levels of hormones are safe, and a dime-sized piece of meat contains billions of hormone molecules. These two groups are the most vulnerable to things like this because of the fragile state of their body. Now moving on to the effects that growth hormones have on cows. Again, as Laura Sire says in her article, injecting cows with Monsanto's genetically engineered RBGH is like injecting human athletes with illegal hormones and steroids. It may have a short-term performance and enhancing effects, but cows treated with RBGH suffer from higher rates of mastitis, which is the inflammation of the udder, birth disorders, hoof problems, diarrhea, and other ailments. The use of RBGH on dairy cows increases the rate of mastitis by 25%. This infection is the one that leads to increased use of antibiotics that eventually gives rise to new strains of superbugs that are becoming more resistant to antibiotics and are strongly linked to hard-to-treat illnesses in people. As the Organic Consumers Association states, RBGH makes cows sick. Monsanto has been forced to admit to about 20 toxic veterinary effects, including mastitis. Also, SustainableTable.org states because cows are forced to produce unnaturally high quantities of milk, they can become malnourished because they lose more nutrients through their milk than they ingest in their feed, and are therefore more susceptible to disease. By the summer of 1994, the Wisconsin Farmers Union and the National Farmers Union set up a joint hotline for dairy farmers to use when reporting problems with the artificial growth hormone in cattle. One lifelong New York dairy farmer reported losing a quarter of his herd to severe mastitis after beginning RBGH injections. He also reported a drastic drop in production after taking his cows off of RBGH. They suddenly produced less milk than they had before going on the drug. A year later, he had to replace 135 of his original 200 cows. Other farmers using RBGH have reported similar problems, in addition to hoof diseases, open sores, and cows that died from internal bleeding. Currently, under the rule of the FDA, they assure consumers that RBGH is safe for cows and humans. As SustainableTable.org states, FDA approval for RBGH came in 1993, in spite of strong opposition from scientists, farmers, and consumers. According to detractors, RBGH was never properly tested. The FDA relied solely on a study done by Monsanto, in which RBGH was tested for 90 days on 30 rats. The study was never published, and the FDA stated the results showed no significant problems. But a review by the Canadian Health Agency on RBGH found the 90-day study showed a significant number of issues which should have triggered a full review by the FDA. They also state that the FDA prohibited dairies from claiming there was any difference between milk from RBGH-injected cows and milk produced without the artificial hormone. One example of how far the Monsanto Corporation will go to keep their growth hormones still in use is a story in the state of Maine. In 2003, Monsanto asked the state of Maine to stop issuing an official quality seal, which the state only grants to dairies that do not use RBGH. Maine refused. Later that year, Monsanto sued Oakhurst Dairy, which is Maine's largest dairy operation, over its RBGH-free labels. The Monsanto Corporation will go to any means in order to keep their growth hormones still in use. And for the third point, that revenue is lost because of the use of RBGH. Currently, the European Union refuses to buy meat from the United States because the cows are treated with the growth hormone. The Cancer Prevention Coalition states that the World Trade Organization ruled in favor of the 1989 European ban on the use of sex hormones for the growth promotion of cattle in feedlots prior to slaughter. This was a major defeat for the United States, which challenged the European ban, claiming that it was a protectionist, costing over $100 million a year in lost exports, and that it reflected consumerism versus science. Because of all the concerns, including birth defects, mastitis, health problems, and many other most industrialized nations, including Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and all of the European Union nations, have prohibited the growth hormone. And because of the growing national concern over this topic, many major companies have recently gone RBGH free. Kroger Company, Safeway Incorporated, Walmart, Starbucks, Kraft, and many small family-run businesses have gone growth hormone free. So why go RBGH free? As Laura Sire says, well, it's good for you and the cow. Non-industrial dairy cows can remain productive for 8 to 10 years or more. Dairy cows on RBGH have an expected productivity of just 4 years. It's better for you and your family. Cows treated with RBGH are more likely to receive antibiotics, exacerbating problems with antibiotic resistance. Milk from RBGH-treated cows also contains a hormone linked to elevated cancer risks. It's better for farmers. In addition to the expense of the drug itself, RBGH results in higher feed bills, higher vet bills, and higher calories. This is removing cows from a herd due to illness or low productivity. One study found that 25 to 40% of dairy farmers who tried RBGH soon gave it up because it wasn't profitable enough to justify the damage to their cows.